She saw him smiling with another woman, so she walked away. But what she discovered later changed everything. She hadn't planned to walk that street. Life had a strange way of leading her to pain without warning, and this time, it led her feet to betrayal. She was just passing by, heart still half filled with hope, her eyes still softly searching for something familiar. And then she saw him, standing under the soft light of the old cafe. His face turned slightly to the side, his lips curling in a smile so genuine it carved itself into her soul. But it wasn't meant for her. His smile wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to the woman standing close to him, arms loosely wrapped around his like they belonged there. The way he looked at that woman, tenderly like she was a dream he never thought he'd live, was the exact way he used to look at her. And just like that, her knees weakened. Her breath caught mid-thought, and the world spun without mercy. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She simply stared, frozen in silence, as the truth bled across her chest like a fresh wound. Memories flashed like bolts of lightning in her mind. The nights they held hands, the warmth of his whispers, the promises he once whispered into her trembling ears. All now erased by that one smile given to someone else. She turned away, her heart falling deeper with every step. The rain had started to fall, as if the sky couldn't bear her pain either. Each drop on her skin felt like it was trying to cleanse what had just poisoned her hope. But nothing could wash it away. She walked for hours with no destination, as if pain had become her compass. And the farther she walked, the more the silence inside her screamed. Back at home, everything reminded her of him. The empty mug still stained with his coffee, the book he never finished, the sweater hanging by the door that still smelled like his skin. She sank to the floor, knees pressed against her chest, sobbing not just because she lost him, but because she never truly had him in the first place. What had they been? Was it all an illusion? A cruel experiment on her emotions? Her heart wasn't just broken, it was starved. Starved of love, starved of truth, starved of the one thing she kept giving him freely, her soul. Days passed in blurry shadows. She stopped eating, stopped smiling, stopped pretending. But within that darkness, something began to grow, a hunger not for his love but for answers. She had been kind, loyal, honest. She deserved at least that much. So she followed the trail of silence he had left behind. Small clues he never thought she'd piece together. Late-night calls, locked messages, the sudden distance. Her pain transformed into curiosity, and curiosity into determination. She began asking questions even if it hurt. And the more she dug, the more she uncovered pieces of him that didn't belong to the man she had loved. He had secrets, hidden meetings, lies disguised as errands. But what shocked her the most wasn't the other woman. It was what the woman didn't know. The woman she saw him with wasn't the only one. He had a pattern, a trail of hearts broken quietly. She wasn't the first. She might not be the last. But she would be the only one who dared to confront the truth. But not yet. She changed in silence. No longer weeping, no longer waiting. She began to glow in the dark. She hit the gym, picked up her broken career, wore the dress he always said didn't suit her, and rocked it like a queen. Slowly, painfully, she stitched herself back together, one breath at a time. Yet even in her strength, the pain whispered. Late at night, when the city slept, her heart still reached for him in dreams. She would wake up soaked in sweat, haunted by the smile he gave another. And yet, something deeper stirred inside her. The hunger to become someone he could never hurt again. Weeks passed, and she saw them again. Holding hands. Laughing. Like nothing was ever broken. But what he didn't know was that she had learned his entire game. And she was no longer the same girl who cried on the floor. One evening, she received an anonymous message. A single sentence. "He's not who you think he is." Her hands trembled as she read it. The sender unknown. The words chilling. That night she couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with possibilities. Had someone else noticed his lies? Or was it a warning? She had to find out. She started following him, not like a stalker but like a ghost. Silent, watching, waiting. Every weekend he vanished for hours. No one knew where. Not the woman, not his colleagues. He told her he was working on a project, but her instincts knew better. Then she saw him, deep in a distant neighborhood, entering a rundown house. She waited. An hour later he came out, alone. The next day she returned to the house. Look, what happened behind that door broke everything she thought she knew. It was a woman, older, frail, sitting in a wheelchair. When she opened the door and looked into her eyes, she saw it. The same sadness, the same confusion. And then the woman whispered, "You're not the first to come here looking for him." Everything went cold. She sat with the woman, listened, heard stories of promises, of love, of betrayal. This woman had once been his everything too. Left behind after an accident. Forgotten. He was a collector of hearts, a master of emotional illusions. But now she knew. And she wasn't going to let it end like this. She began preparing her next steps. Not revenge, something more powerful. Exposure. Closure. A way to reclaim her story. To free not just herself, but all the others like her. Because this wasn't just a heartbreak. It was a storm in disguise. And the calm was only temporary. The final truth, she would uncover next. She left that old house with a storm inside her chest. The woman's words echoed like thunder in her mind. "You're not the first." It was no longer about heartbreak. It was about the haunting truth that he had always been this way. A man who wore gentleness like a mask and handed out love like poison wrapped in silk. She had loved him purely, completely, dangerously. And now she knew he never loved anyone fully. Only pieces, only enough to keep them bound. But she wasn't broken anymore. She was reborn. She kept walking. Every step forward was a goodbye to the past. But her mission wasn't done. There was one last thing she needed to do. Face him, not as the girl who loved him, but as the woman who survived him. She returned home and sat in silence, staring at the wall where his photograph used to hang. It wasn't anger she felt. It wasn't hate. It was clarity. She finally saw things as they were, not as she wished them to be. And that was the greatest freedom she could ever own. But before she could move on completely, she had to free herself from the last chain. The question that haunted her since the day she saw him smiling with another. Why her? Why that woman? What did she have that made him choose her? So she reached out. Not to him, but to her. She sent a message, raw and honest. "We've never met. But we need to talk. It's not about jealousy. It's about truth." The woman responded within minutes. They met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. She was nervous, not because she still loved him, but because she had no idea what the other woman knew, or didn't know. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times, but nothing prepared her for the face that sat across the table. The woman looked tired. Not in the way makeup could fix, but soul-tired. She wore the same look she once wore, of quiet doubt hidden under forced smiles. She didn't waste time. She told her everything. The late-night visits. The lies. The messages. The other woman in the wheelchair. The secrets buried in his perfect smiles. And when she finished, the other woman broke. Tears fell. Silent. Honest. Because she too had suspected something. But she had been too scared to face it. She had chosen love over truth, even as the truth clawed at her door. Together they cried. Not over a man, but over the lies that stole their time, their trust, their belief in love. It was then she realized something even more powerful. Her healing wasn't just about escaping him. It was about helping others see through the fog. And that's when the final twist came. Later that week she received a letter. Not an email. Not a message. A real letter. No return address. No name. Just 4 words written inside. "I never meant to." She read those words again and again. First she thought it was him. A final whisper from the man who had broken her. But something didn't feel right. She traced the handwriting. Something about it struck her. Familiar yet different. Then it hit her. It wasn't his handwriting. It was hers. The letter had been written by the woman in the wheelchair. The woman who had once loved him, long before they had even met. And that's when she remembered. During their conversation, that woman had said something strange. He left me, but I didn't tell him everything. The truth unfolded like fire. He had once been different. Years ago he had been honest, gentle, loyal, until something happened. Betrayal. A child he never knew about. A mistake that shattered his trust in love forever. And he never recovered. He became what hurt him. Each woman after was a shield against that one heartbreak. He kept chasing connection but destroyed it the moment it got real. And the only way he felt in control was by never fully loving again. She sat there in silence, letter in her lap, and for the first time, she felt sorry for him. Not enough to forgive. Not enough to go back. But enough to finally let go. She stood up, walked to the old bridge by the river, and let the letter drift into the wind. She smiled. Not because she won, but because she survived. And because now she was free. She no longer needed closure from him. She had created her own. And as she walked away from the past, a quiet strength rose inside her like sunlight after a storm. She was no longer the girl who broke down on the street after seeing him with someone else. She was the woman who turned heartbreak into healing, and pain into power. And that was the real ending.